Okay, this is Algebraic Expressions. We're starting a new chapter. Remember, algebraic expressions will have variables in it, and expressions are not they're not equations, so they don't have equal signs in them. So we're going to be combining like terms a lot of the times. We could be evaluating expressions. So those are some of the types of things we're going to do. So let's go ahead and go over the vocabulary. So I did mention a variable. What is a variable? It's a symbol representing an unknown quantity. So the symbol is usually represented as a letter, like X or Y or N for any number, right? Then you have algebraic expression. It's an expression that contains variables, numbers, and at least one math operation. So you have the plus, minus, multiply, or divide. So here's an example of an expression. You have n plus 2, and that is an expression. So next, I'm going to go ahead and refresh your memory about algebraic expressions. So in algebra, the multiplication sign is usually left out. So if it says 6d, 6 and then a variable, and they're right next to each other, that means 6 times d. If it has 9st, the st are variables, right? So this means 9 times s times t. So 9 times s times t. And if it has just two variables like mn, this just means m times n. And a cubed, remember, with exponents, this is an exponent, okay? It's raised to the third power, we call it. And this is a times a times a. We have a 3 times, okay? So evaluating algebraic expressions, the most important thing is you have to use GEMDAS. Remember what GEMDAS is. GEMDAS, G means grouping. E is exponents. The M and the D are multiplying and dividing, and they are together because you could divide first or you can multiply first depending on which comes first in your expression, and you would do it from left to right. Same thing with addition and subtraction. You guys worked on GEMDAS last year, so you have addition and subtraction. Subtraction could come first, or maybe there isn't any addition. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's just going from left to right. All right, so we have evaluating expressions by substitution. We're going to do some here, and then you guys will have some time to practice inside the classroom also. So let's go ahead and look at this example. We have evaluate, so that means to evaluate means to, here has this n equals -4, and that means basically just to plug in wherever you see this variable and what it equals instead, okay? So the n here will become a -4. So I'm going to rewrite. I like to rewrite everything the same. So I have 2 parentheses. And then instead of the n, I'm going to plug in the -4. And then everything else, I'm going to keep the same. So that's everything else is the same. That is in black. The only thing I changed was that -4. Now I just have to go ahead and use my GEMDAS. So looking at GEMDAS, I like to write it like this, and you might have remembered this, right? So is there any grouping? Yes. So we're going to do the grouping first. So the grouping, inside the grouping here, I see -4 plus 3. I'm going to keep my grouping symbol still there. So -4 plus 3, I have more negatives. I'm going to subtract. So that would be 4 minus 3 is 1, and I have more negatives, so it's going to be -1. If you want to see it, -4 plus 3 positives, these cancel out, and you're left with -1. And then the 2 will stay there. Now remember, if there's parentheses, there's a hidden little thing right here. Right here. Can't see it, but it's an invisible multiplication sign. Okay, so the parentheses means if there's a number right in front of it is to multiply. So then now I'm going to go ahead and multiply 2 times a -1, and that would give me -2. And -2 would be my final solution for that, or answer. Here's my next problem. I'm going to evaluate by substitution. And remember, substitution is just plugging it in. This time I have 2 variables. So C is 8. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 8 for C. And then D is -5. Well, I'm going to put D for -5. So I'm going to rewrite everything the same except for my variables. So I have 2, and where I see variables, I'm going to put a parentheses, -4, and then parentheses. Okay, it helps if you put parentheses in there, and then that shows you kind of like your blank spaces. So I have a 2, and the C is an 8. And then D, we said, was a -5. All right, so now with GEMDAS, okay, grouping, there isn't grouping anymore because this is just being multiplied, okay? There's no exponents, but there is multiplication, okay? So there's multiplication. I'm going to circle the M. There's no division, so I'm going to cross that out. There is a subtraction, so we're going to go ahead and circle the S for subtraction. So we're going to go ahead and multiply. So I'm going to multiply the 2 times 8. That's what it means, which is 16. I'm going to keep this subtraction sign here. And then I have the 4 times the -5. And I'm going to keep this in parentheses because I am dealing with negatives. So 4 times the -5 is a -20. Now I have 2 negatives right next to each other. So if you remember from our integer lesson, that would mean that I have 16, and really what it means is plus 20, right? If I'm taking away negatives, I'm actually adding positives. So 16 now plus 20 is equal to 36, and that would be my final solution. Okay, here's our last problem. So we're going to be writing expressions from word problems. So Marissa wants to buy a DVD player that costs $150. She already saved $25 and plans to save an additional $10 per week. Write an expression that represents the total amount of money Marissa has saved after any number of weeks. So first we have to come up with our important words, right? So I'm going to highlight, we do have that the DVD player costs $150. So I'll put cost $150. She's already saved $25, and every week she's going to save $10 more to help pay for this DVD player. Okay, so what are some words that we need to know? So she's saving $25 plus $10 each week. Okay, so those are some words that are important. For a variable, what don't we know? We don't know the amount of money saved by Marissa. So we're going to say that that is X, or a variable. So now I need to find my expression. I need to come up with my expression. So I already Marissa already has that saved $25, right? She already has that. So I'm going to put $25. And then she has to save more. So I have to add something more. And she's going to do $10 per week. I should probably do a different color. So $10 per week. So $10, and then the money she saved by Marissa. So per week, right, would be, in this case, we're going to say is X. Okay. So if she saved it for 1 week, she would save $10, plus she's already got that 25. So that would give me a total, okay, of how much she has saved. But we want to find out what is the time, or basically that represents the total amount of money she has saved after the number of weeks, okay? So we need to now find that the total, right, we have to get to 150 is where she needs to go. So when you plug in a number here, This will tell you how many weeks she needs to save for. If it's 1 week, if I did 10 plus 25 is 35. That is not enough. So she definitely would need a few more. So my expression is actually 25 plus 10 times x, which that's the expression part of it. But this would be the equation you would need in order to solve. So that's the end of expressions for algebraic expressions for lesson 1.